What's up, YouTube? Capital G here. Got some interesting duels for you guys to check out. This is featuring a very unique deck down at the bottom. It is actually a zombie version of Cubics, and this is really interesting because obviously zombies just got a bunch of new support because they had a structure deck, Zombie Horde. I'm hoping it does something really good on the YCS level because I think that Barrel Drunk, the boss monster, is incredibly good. But Cubics are a deck that somewhat like zombies have cards that can activate from the graveyard. Unification of the Cubics is a card that lets you kind of summon from your deck. When a Cubic monster leaves the field, you can banish that card. I believe it's a trap. You also have Cubic Karma, which I think is on top of his deck. Yeah, Cubic Karma can be a Rhoda from the graveyard. So you have both decks that kind of can activate multiple things. Zombies have always wanted to be in the graveyard since pretty much the beginning of time. Not just cards like Mizuki, but, you know, like your Banshee, you can banish her, get Zombie World on the field. And he is running a lot of cards to get these in the graveyard. You see Needlebug's Nest. This hasn't been used in a very long time, but let's see exactly how this is going to play out. First duel is against them Deskbots. It's a shame he doesn't have machine duplication, but let's go ahead and roll it. So he's going to probably be able to get his Zombie World, which boom, there's your Zombie World. Gets the Cubic Karma. That's going to get him a Rhoda. And then this is, I don't know, I feel like this is a luck sack play here. He sets Needlebug's Nest, and then boom, in the draw phase, he activates it, and guess what he ends up getting? He ends up getting a Glow Up Bloom. That means he can get his that means he can get his Baller Drag straight from the deck to his field, and now he has multiple, I guess, disruptions for his opponent because, you know, 3 is going to be summoned, and he's trying to probably negate the effect of 3. This is something crazy, right? I didn't even realize this, but Ghost Bell can actually negate him because he has an effect to banish, so that's actually something where, you know, he can be negated by that, but that only negates that one activation. He can still be used again, and even though his opponent is going to destroy him, people have to understand about this boss monster in particular. Like, you really need to kill this thing. If you don't kill the Baller Drunk, then it's just going to come back over and over again. Now you can see right now the Cubic player is just using those Cubic Karmas to get big boss monsters. Mainly he just searched this copy of the Crimson Nova, which he already had one in his hand, so then maybe it was a little unnecessary. He is going to activate the effect off of his own because keep in mind, everything on the field is now a zombie that banishes one of his opponent's monsters. He activates unification of the Cubics, but obviously he's not even going to need it at this point. He waits for his opponent to activate the Deskbot 3. He's like, no, man, I'm just going to negate you. And yeah, this guy is a 6,000 attack. And usually when this card attacks and destroys a monster, it's GG, because not only because you can like double its original attack with cards like the Cubic Wave, and you can crank it up with like Cubic Karma, but this guy can also attack 2 monsters. It can attack another monster if you destroy one by battle. And then of course there's a 3,000 burn damage in main phase 2. Now both players take the burn damage, but usually the Cubic player has more than enough life points to where they're going to survive it. So second duel is against Heroes, and this one I think he's going to open up fairly okay. Opens with hand destruction, which is not bad in Cubics. He's able to get the boss monster straight into the graveyard. This means it will be able to come out from Zombie World. And then he did go and normal summon Duza. He sent Karma to the graveyard. That got him a Rhoda. Whoops, did not mean to do that. Meant to hit play. And you can see that it's not the greatest turn 1, but as long as you can get Baller Drunk on the field, then I think it's okay. Hero Lives is going to be activated for Shadow Mist. Will he negate? Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Nope, he's actually just going to banish. Okay, not a bad play considering he got 4,000 life points out of his opponent. He does have access to Malicious and Solid Soldier, so that is a lot of summoning he can do. Now, this was actually a really good counter. I don't think he should have summoned Stratos here. Either that, or I don't think he should have used the effects, because I think he should have just attacked over it, or maybe summoned Stratos after he was able to, you know, kill the Baller Drunk, because obviously he has Dark Law on the field, and this guy is doing what the other guy didn't do. He's actually going to banish this thing. He's basically going to get rid of it for good. Think about it. If he just would have summoned Stratos in main phase 2, he would have gotten the effect off, and he would have been able to get a search. So I feel like he just kind of mismanaged that. We're not going to see any Link monsters here, and I kind of agree with this, because if you think about it, obviously zombies are kind of hard countered by Dark Law and Macrocosmos like effects, so he probably doesn't feel the need to. but he is going to get overconfident here. Man, I feel like everybody in Yu-Gi-Oh just falls in love with Boral Sword Dragon. Don't get me wrong, Boral Sword Dragon is an amazing card, but look at this. He is stopped by a simple monster that can't be destroyed by battle. You know, if this was Boral Dragon, he wins this duel, right? If this was Boral Dragon, he 100% wins this duel. He attacks with 3 monsters. Anki can do some damage, but it's only 1400, and this is giving his opponent time to actually be able to get cubic cards so that he can summon this the cubic deity. And we saw what this card did in the last turn, and now he has enough stuff to actually activate it. Now the thing is, his opponent is going to try to use Boral Sword to shift it to defense mode. The problem is this guy cannot be affected by monsters that have 3000 or less attack, so it's not going to do anything. I mean, he can target it, but it doesn't matter. It's just unaffected. It's going to gain 800 attack, then he's going to activate the cubic aura, or the cubic wave, excuse me. I think aura was the OCG name, and now he has doubled the attack. But not just that, cubic wave is even more OP. It not only doubles the attack of your deity, but also shrinks your opponent's monster. It cuts it in half, so that's really bad for them. Now he's just in desperation mode. He's activating these copies of Robbery of Warlords, even though all the cubic monsters are obviously. Wait a minute, I'm trolling. You know what? When I first watched this video, I thought that, obviously the guy at the bottom, I thought that his monsters didn't die because they were fiends, but I was like, how is he able to keep Boral Sword Dragon and the hero monsters? I was like, maybe Robbery is bugged on what's it called, on YGO Pro, because I'm like, these are warriors, and these are actually, like, this is a dragon, but now I realize it's because zombie world's on the field. I'm clicking over the monsters, or hovering over them, and they all say zombie. Like, the Robbery does even less, like, it does absolutely nothing when every monster on the field is a zombie. So, obviously, that's GG no Re. He could have simply attacked over Stratos, which actually just would have been game alone, but also, again, he had the ability to attack twice, and he does 3000 burn damage during the end phase. So that's definitely an OTK. Even if he was at 8000 damage, he could easily kill him through that. So let's go ahead and pause for one quick second and look at this zombie cubic deck. Alright, so this is what the deck looks like on paper, and just as advertised, this is definitely a zombie version of Cubics. In fact, if you look at the monster lineup, there's nothing in here except zombies and Cubics. There is no hand traps, you know, no other like filler cards or anything like that. Basically, just those two well, you know, zombies isn't an archetype, it's a type, but just those two pieces basically making this deck whole. The spells, I think we saw every single spell used, and there really isn't that many of them. It's just, you know, all the spells are kind of maxed out. What do we have, like 5 or 6 different spells? Foolish Burial Goods, being able to send the cubic karma to the graveyard, because basically it's a rota that is your only target, and it's not a hard once per turn when it comes to that rota search, so you can use multiple copies of karma if you happen to get one off of, like, you know, hand destruction, send it to the grave. Another for Foolish Burial Goods, not really that big of a problem. Hand destruction, you know, is a card that I've always associated with you know, cheese decks, but in zombies kind of makes sense because you can just get, like, you can always summon this from the grave, you can activate this from the grave, then you can activate that. Like, so zombies just work well in the graveyard. The Needlebug's Nest, you know, we saw it not only being able to use for the zombies, but obviously being able to get your cubic karma in the graveyard. He does run one unification of the cubics. This is another card that can activate from the grave. I think I've seen one person fusion summon with this card one time in my entire life. It almost never happens, honestly. This card, Return of the Zombies, I'm not really a big fan of it, to be honest. I feel like even the other zombie card, the kind of like Change a Heart, Snatch Steel type card, might even be a little better. The extra deck, obviously pretty simple. I mean, I guess this is pretty much your discretion. You can just throw in more cards. I don't think you ever are going to summon Nova Trinity. You probably only need to run one copy just in case, you know, 1 out of every 30 duels it actually does come up. But I think it's an interesting deck. I hope that zombies actually do well from a competitive standpoint, because I do think that they have a lot of really good cards.